The parades are over, but crowds are gathering for fireworks shows all over our region as Southern Oregon residents celebrate the nation's 238th birthday. These are just some of the traditional ways Americans celebrate independence.
It hasn't always been that way. In tonight's Oregon Trails, Newswatch 12's Ron Brown takes a look back at some of the celebrations that have marked the holiday in our area in the past century or more.
For most of us, fireworks and parades coupled with maybe a barbecue and a day at the Lake Coastal River is the highlight of our Independence Day celebration. The first photo record of an organized celebration in our area is two photographs taken in Medford in 1884 when the town was barely organized. These pictures were taken about where the parking lot at 8th and Central is now located. Undoubtedly, mining camps in early days also saw some sort of a celebration. A diary discovered in Grants Pass several years ago chronicles the July 1885 observance by Charles Anderson of Foots Creek. Friday, July 3rd, I worked forenoon hoeing corn. Afternoon, Alice Grant and I went down to Rock Point. Grant and I got on the train at Gold Hill and went to Grants Pass, then came back to Woodville, put in the rest of the day in a hay mound. That's a loft in the barn where the hay is stored. Saturday, the 4th, Grant, Alice, and I was at a celebration all day at Woodville, danced until 12 o'clock at night. Grant and I came up on the train to Rocky Point. We had a way up time. Now, by the late 1800s, Grants Pass was holding parades and other events, as was Linkville, now Klamath Falls, and Ashland. Parades are not the only events that have brought together Southern Oregon and residents to celebrate Independence Day in the last 150 years. We look back and we see not only horse races, but car races and balloon events. A Medford Mail newspaper account for the 1900 Medford event said that, quote, Medford's 4th of July celebration was a success so far as crowd was concerned, no person will gainsay. Conservative estimates placed the number of from 6,000 to 8,000 people. The sheriff thought it was the largest in the county in 3 decades. There were baseball games and a parade, but the highlight might have been the balloon ascension by Professor Chris Nelson, said by the local news to be the prettiest and most successful ascent the writer has ever witnessed, and he has seen several. A similar event later in Klamath Falls also drew big crowds as a big wood fire at Main and 3rd was used to heat up the air in the balloon. A Professor Godfrey was seated in a basket slung below the balloon and is shown flying over Klamath Falls. Aeronauts continued to wow the crowds when in 1911, one of the first airplane flights in the basin was part of the 4th of July celebration. In Grants Pass, parades were apparently a regular part of the holiday festivities, but about 1910, when 6th Street was still unpaved, the newfangled automobile attracted crowds for an obstacle course race. In 1916, Ashland residents rejoiced when the newly developed Lithia Park was dedicated over the holiday. An estimated 50,000 people turned out for those festivities over 3 days. Today, Ashland's parade remains the largest 4th of July parade in the area, but in the early 20s, appearances by the Ku Klux Klan seem out of place for a community that today prides itself on its openness. But it was in 1915 that Southern Oregon became part of a national story when the Liberty Bell made a tour through the area on its way to San Francisco. During the night, it passed through Gold Hill, Medford, and Ashland. The Gold Hill News reported that, quote, 600 patriots rose up on their toes and cheered again and still again when the Liberty Bell special blazed past the Gold Hill Depot, and the car with its fateful and precious freight came to a full stop. At its approach, a salute of 21 dynamite charges had crashed and flooded back in waves of echo. Many score attended from Sam's Valley and Galls, Kane, Sardine, and Foots Creek. The tracks were thickly lined with tethered teams. In Medford, some 5,000 people stayed up all night for the early morning arrival. An estimated 500 cars lined the tracks. In Ashland, a ban on fireworks was lifted and fire horns blew to welcome the train. After a brief stop, a moment in history was on its way south. A reporter said, "How lucky we have been to see it come and go." In Medford, Ron Brown, Newswatch 12.
And in a bit of holiday trivia, it was on this day that 2 key players in the drafting of the Declaration of Independence, Thomas Jefferson and John Adams, died on this day, July 4th, 1826. And up to that time, many felt that July 2nd was really Independence Day. But following Adams and Jefferson's simultaneous passing on the 4th of July, sentiment soon shifted to making that Independence Day.